So that's why it should point from here to there and move this one to there. So I assume this should happen somewhere here. But I don't see anything. So 999. That's weird. Point. Okay, it's there. Okay, somehow just didn't show as a point, but it was calculated as vector. Okay, that's fine. Okay, and you have to remember that subtraction has different directions. So the direction of subtraction is quite important. So if you minus from B to A, the resulting point is a opposite. Why? Because the resulting is from this point to the second one and parallelly moving to the 0, 0. Yeah. So just remind yourself of vector addition and vector subtraction. And we are going to do that mathematically inside here. So we were just using the grasshopper batteries, but actually all of these allows you to do the vector addition, a vector math, yeah? So let's use this one, add, to do the first addition. So C is new, C is method. So C is okay. C is, oh, actually this allows you to do that. Okay, so this is a slightly different, but we can actually do it like this. So D is new minus new 2 and A, B, C, D, E minus new 2 minus. So you can actually see that all of these should be actually shown. You plug a point displayer. So this was A plus B. This was A minus B. This was B minus A. Yeah. We are going to use this addition slightly later. I realize that we can just use the math editor. Yeah. Okay. All right. For the next exercise, so this was the use of point 3D, and there is also something called vector 3D, which we are going to use really often. This is used exactly same as point 3D. There is no fundamental difference, but somehow in Grasshopper and Rhino, they made it differently. So if you say a value in here as point, and there is a value called vector. So if you have a value for point, it shows as a point. But if you put it as a vector, it doesn't show you anything as a geometry. So that's the only difference in Grasshopper. All right. Okay, so very often how we use this is use it as a position and a direction. So let's do that by using a point. point. Okay, I'm going to just do it inside C#. So we are going to make a point 3D. A position is a new point 3D. Whatever double 0 or 350, whatever vector 3D dir, which represents direction, and say vector 3D, and I'm going to say 1 10 0 0 to make it more obvious, and then say A is position plus direction. So say OK, and I'm going to hide all of these. You can hide them by selecting them and middle click and hide the value. Middle click and hide. It's really straightforward. Hide. And then the resulting point is this. So the 350, let's show the point. So B is the resulting and A is the original. So B is the resulting and no, B is the resulting. So this is the resulting. So it's adding a vector that is 10 0 0 as a direction. So that's very common way of controlling a position with a direction. So for example, you can, let's say you want to control as a handle. So you want to make a on-screen line that you can change the direction. So this is a handle that is 0 0 0, that is positioned as 0 0 0. Okay, so I'm going to make this one as a handle and let my resulting point to follow my line. Yeah. So just for demonstration reason. So I'm going to get this as a curve. Like get this one from Rhino scene, right click and set one curve. And I'm going to use a endpoint script. So what this is doing is it's giving you a starting point and ending point, and I'm going to make a vector out of these two by subtracting minus or subtract a let's see which one is starting point. So this one is start and this one is end. So we need to point to the end. So we need to from end to minus start. So this is a vector that is pointing towards this, yeah, in reality. Okay, so we are going to use this vector to refresh our direction vector, yeah. So put it in X and right click and say maybe input dir. So input direction, and then right click, type in to change that to vector 3D. So double click, and instead of using this dir, I'm going to use this input dir. Say OK. So this now, you see this resulting point will be following my handle. So I can change my handle. So this is how you can actually control your direction. And I'm just doing this as a demonstration so you can see what's the relationship between a position and a direction. So direction will be in the future will be determining by your movement. Okay. Okay. So so one more thing. If you want to have some kind of debugging, so you want to maybe check if my input value is doing correct thing. So you can say print. Do you remember you cannot, for example, you want to check this X value in the print, but this print will not execute anything that is not string. Yeah. So what you need to do is you can change this to string. So you can change any value to a string. So type looks like a variable. Point is okay. So print. Sorry, print. So you can use these two string commands to check whether you are doing something correct or if you want to print something as a number value. Okay. So that's one thing. Another concept is about condition. So I'm going through a few more basic concepts before we actually go to the actual exercise. So here now I'm going through if condition. So you can give certain condition. We will just test it. So say, just follow me. Just say if X is smaller than 5, for example, I will do something. I will say I will print X as toString. Otherwise, I don't do anything. So we are going to say okay, and we are going to change this type value to int, and we are going to hook up a number slider. And easiest way to do it is by typing a number, and it's going to give you a slider around that number. So if you type 5, this will print only if they are smaller than 5, and if not, it doesn't do anything. So on 5, it doesn't print, isn't it? So if you want this to be printed on 5 as well, you can say smaller or equals to 5. So that's how you can change the condition. You can say also, you can give another condition, say else. So all the other condition, you say print X is bigger than 5. Say print. So if it's 6, 7, 5, 6, 9, otherwise it's printing. So using this, you can give a lot of different conditions. But in this case, maybe we can also try another condition, say else if, else. So you are giving a double condition. So else if X is smaller than 8, and you do something more, say print that X is smaller than 8, but bigger than 5. So only when 8 is small, because this is in else condition, this will print this line. Otherwise, if x is bigger than 8, no, bigger than 5, smaller than 8. Is it correct? So if this is smaller but bigger, no, this is bigger than 8. Okay, let's see if this works. So smaller or equal to 5, it's printing. Otherwise, x is smaller than 8 but bigger than 5. That's correct. And now I'm at 8. X is equal to 8 or bigger than 5. 8. I should say that. Yeah. So it's working. But to be more true is equals to or bigger than 10. All right. So that's a condition. So what this is doing is giving you a true or false value. So this is called condition. So what you can do here is you can say bool condition 1 is x smaller or equals to 5, Control X, Control V. And then you can give this bool value instead. So that's the exactly same script, but this might looks very confusing. But what this line returns you is a Boolean value. It gives you true or false. So you can also give that as another Boolean value as well. Condition 2 is, you don't need this bracket. I'm just making it so it's a bit clearer. So you can give the condition 2 in this manner as well. Yeah. So you can also say, you can also input a Boolean value from here. Let's say you can use a button. So here from button and type hint Boolean. So this will give you a true or false value. So you can directly use this. Say if Boolean y, then I print something. If y is true, this means print y is true. I'm going to say else y is false. So this is directly using the Boolean value from y. Say okay. And this is false, this is true, this is false, this is true. Okay, so that's about condition. I'm going to save this. Another thing I need to cover is list. So how do we store a number of many numbers? For example, we had number A, int B is whatever, int C is int D is 20. You can actually create a list of numbers, all numbers, in this manner. But in this case, you have to specify how many numbers you are going to put. So I'm going to add 4 numbers. So you have to specify the size, and you can say int number 0 is A. All numbers 1 is B. All numbers 2 is. You notice that it starts from 0. Yeah. So 3 is D. So you can now you can print, or let's say A is a specific number. So of course we want to now see what is. Let's try this one. So what is all numbers 1? So of course we declared 1 as B. That's why that is 6, number 6. Does this make sense? So this was, of course, you could have named it like, declared like this as well. So it's exactly the same, and you don't really need these lines in this case. So instead of storing a lot of numbers separately, you can just use one name to store many numbers. So this is how you can create a list. But the downside of this method is that you need to specify the number size. So if you're saying, I want one more number in my list, so I say it's 3, say yes, and it's going to error because the bounds problem. It's outside the bounds, which means I don't have enough space in my list. So you need to change this one always according to the size of the list. But this is really annoying, to be honest. Yeah, and in the future, you might don't want to know the size of your numbers in the beginning. So that's why we use this another method a lot, which is called list. You specify a type of the list. So all numbers list. In list, just to make it different. So you need to specify the type and say new list of integer. So I hate this autocorrection. Lists in. So that's how you can open up a list, and you note that we don't need to specify the size here. And the way you can add a number here is by saying dot add, and you can add in order. So I'm going to add exactly the same as the previous one. So I'm going to add 5 of them and say 6, 8, 30, and 3. And you can still use similarly, say B is number in list, and you can get the first one. So first one should be 6, if you understand that. So the A is 6, the B is 6 as well. So you notice that when we were storing this list, we didn't specify a number here. So this number is more important than the order of this script. So even if you declared the second one before first one, this first one in A are still 6. Let's try that. Yeah, doesn't change. But in this case, if you add this one first and then you add the second one, 6 on third, the the first value will change to 8. Yeah, so you see the difference. So the order of storing and calculation is important in this method. Here, that's not really important, but you need to specify the ID of where you're storing. So this is very precise. This is very dependent on the order of calculation, but it has freedom in terms of expanding the space. So you don't have to tell which number. Okay, so we are almost there. Another concept, iteration. So what if we want to do same thing over and over? For example, I want to print a hello 5 times, let's say. So you can say print hello and say okay, and this will give you hello 1 time. But what if you want to repeat this 5 times? You can copy this 5 times, of course. 5 times. Okay. But what if you want to do the same thing over and over again for like hundreds, thousands of times? Copy pasting is not really smart or clean. So for that, we can use a loop method. A very well used method is this I loop. For loop, sorry, for loop. So it's just follow my lines, and it looks like that. Okay. So you notice there is a parenthesis closing this line, and what it does is whatever you add here, it's going to repeat for 5 times. So what this means is I'm having a number called I. I is an integer. I will become from 0 to 5, and it increments by 1 every time. So what is I plus plus? I plus plus meaning, let's start with a test with a K. K is 1. What does K plus plus mean? K plus plus means K is K plus 1. So if we play now, you notice that it repeats 5 times, and the K became 2. You can say K plus plus again, K will become 3. What does this mean? So this is same as K is K plus 1. So K plus plus means K is K plus 1. So what this is doing is I is I plus 1. So what this is doing is when it calculates line by line, so calculate this line and then this line and then this line, it goes back to this line, and when it's here, it already became 1 next time. And then go back and become 2, 3, 4. So you can actually, by printing this I to see what's going on. So say I to string. You can see that the I is becoming from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can use this method to do something more interesting. Let me see if I'm missing anything. So, okay, so that's the for loop and I plus plus. There is also different types of loops. For example, for each loop or while loop. And if you are more interested in, you can Google C# loop syntax. X for loop, C#